I know everybody's been buzzing about it. College, Big Noon football, Big Noon kickoff show is in Boulder, Colorado. Everybody has caught the Deion Sanders, Coach Deion Sanders, Coach Prime fever. But one coach did not catch the fever. Colorado State head coach Jay Norvell. He took a shot at Colorado head coach Deion Sanders. And I just would like to have our legend, the one that we catch the fever for, Mr. Isaac Lowenkron. Can you set the stage as to what story took place, what happened?
This is this past Wednesday, and as you guys know and many of our listeners know, a lot of college football coaches across the country have their own weekly radio show where they are interviewed, usually by their school's radio announcer. And these coaches shows are typically at a local restaurant, what have you, so they have an audience. So this Wednesday, Jay Norvell is doing his coaches show from CB and Potts Restaurant and Tap Room in Fort Collins, Colorado. By the way, today you can get a grand mimosa for only $8 at CB and Potts Restaurant and Tap Room. Keep that in mind. And
only $8.
Only $8. That's right.
Only $8.
That's your daily special. Tuesday's $5.50 Long Island iced teas, by the way. So anyway, here he is.
I love an iced tea.
I'm telling you. Margarita Monday, also $5.50 over there at CB and Potts. So
50 cents matters.
So you're telling me. So he is asked and discusses Deion Sanders, the Colorado head coach, during this interview. And remember, he has a live studio audience.
I don't care if they hear it in Boulder. I told them I took my hat off and I took my glasses off, and I said, when I talk to grown-ups, I take my hat and my glasses off. That's what my mother taught me. So, they're not going to like us no matter what we say or do. It doesn't matter, okay? So let's go up there and play.
Obviously, Deion Sanders took it personally. Then last night, the update is that Norvell tweeted, with all the media involved with this game, not one reporter asked me about my comments. I wanted to send a message to our players and how we run our program, unquote. And then just this morning, here was Deion discussing that on College Game Day.
Well, when we meet at the conclusion of the game, just keep the cameras rolling.
And that is where we stand right now.
Thank you, Isaac Lowenkron. TJ, I know you. I don't want to say initial thoughts because we had a little bit of time, obviously, to digest what took place. I actually know Coach Norvell's brother, Scrappy, and we had a little exchange, just kind of talking about it and going over it. But what's your take on it?
I don't understand it. It's number one, you're going into the game, and you're going into the game already fighting uphill. We're talking Colorado State. And I know coaches on the Colorado State staff that I'm cool with, that I've known since I was a teenager. And so I like those dudes, but I got a job to do. And when you're a head coach, we all know this. If you played sports, it doesn't matter what level. Every coach gets in front of the team, and the good coaches will try to impart life lessons on you, the do's and the don'ts. And as you move up each level, every coach will give you things to say and not say in the media. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. And for the head coach, you're trying to send a message to your team. You send a message to your team in the meeting. When you tell them exactly publicly, like he was trying to get a reaction from that live audience, and he knew when he said what he said, it was going to, quote unquote, go viral, and Deion in Colorado wasn't going to take nicely to it. And maybe he didn't care, because if I was a coach and I'm saying those things, I just don't care. But do you know what's about to happen later tonight? Like, they are going to get beat so bad, those players will never let up because of that. It's mind the business that pays you. He says, my mother taught me when I speak to adults to take my hat and my glasses off. Well, I'm sure his mom also told him, son, at times, let's just mind our own business. Because why would you do that? Like, that's Prime's persona. Like, the gold chain in his shades, that's his person. He's been that way for as long as anybody has ever seen Deion Sanders on TV. He's been that way, flashy. He brought all the gold chains and the cockiness to football, if you ask me. That's just him. And so to go and do that, I really believe they're going to get beat by like 40 points, man.
Here's where okay, go ahead.
And then when he says keep the cameras rolling after the game,
yeah,
I truly believe I don't see Prime taking off his hat and his glasses. I don't see him doing that.
But he did do it on the morning show. He said he's going to take his hat off and his glasses off, like basically like making fun of him. You know, like, here, I'm going to take my hat off and my glasses off and shake your hand at the 50-yard line. Now, I don't know if he's going to do it, but he did allude to it on Big Noon Kickoff that this is what I'm going to do when I see him at the center of the field. I'm going to take my hat off and my glasses off.
Does Norvell now, either prior to the game or after the game, go to his team and say he made a mistake?
I don't think you can. If you're Jay Norvell, I just don't think you can put that doubt in, because if you're already losing matches and battles before you go into the game, I don't know what type of message you're sending to your team. Now, I would say I'm curious as to if he jumped out there and issued an apology and tried to directly connect with Prime and tell Coach Deion that, you know, they were misplaced statements. Because here's my first thought of this.
You a head coach. What, ain't nothing misplaced. Everything is calculated.
My first intuition is, even if your team rises up to the challenge, plays well, let's just say they win or make the game respectable, whatever it is that happens, what did saying that have to do with the game? Like, listen, I too was raised to take glasses off. You don't wear sunglasses indoors. You don't wear hats indoors. Like, my mom and dad are old school. Now, whether that is a part of their old school teachings or not should be of no consequence to how somebody else raises their child. Deion Sanders, for one, is a grown-ass man. So to say, take my hat off and my glasses off when I'm talking to adults, that's already a disrespectful slight, because Deion Sanders is an adult. That's for one. But then for two, there's certain things that are off limits when trash talk takes place in football. And as a defender, I'll say this. It's not very many things to me when I'm on the field that are off limits that I would say to you as an offensive player to try to get you out of your game. I mean, I might say some I have said some really, really wild stuff to bother guys on the football field. But with that being said, in the media, TJ, there's just certain things that should stay private. If you felt a certain type of way about Deion and his persona and the way he interviews and how he handles things, you have that conversation in private. And if you want to use that as motivation with your team, you have that in private. You don't make that public domain. You don't put that in front of the fans to get a clap. You don't put it in front of the media to say this may get back to Colorado and Deion. You don't do that. It's a tremendous misstep.
It makes no sense, man.
It makes absolutely no sense.
Like, you're a head coach. And again, I said this earlier, man, Marvin Lewis used to get up in that Wednesday morning meeting and show all kind of clips of coaches, players from the NFL, the NBA, saying and doing the wrong things. This is what we don't want to do. And you're the head coach, and you go and do this in a game where you already a big underdog. You're already a big underdog. I just, for me, but they've made this game really interesting because people were watching. Everybody's watching Colorado anyway. But we
now they're
really
going to watch it to the end. Well, now you're going to watch it to the end. You're going to see a blowout take place, and everybody's still going to stay tuned in just to see what happens at the end of the day. And keep in mind, by the way, Deion Sanders launched a Deion Sanders sunglass line after they did that, and by all accounts given, I've heard that the sunglasses are flying off of the shelves, which, if you know Deion Sanders is one who will take advantage and monetize off of opportunity. So shots out to Prime on that one. And another point that I'll raise before we go to break. TJ, one of the dopest dudes you'll ever have met in life that is no longer with us, one of the dopest coaches ever to coach the game, that happened to coach Deion Sanders amongst other great athletes and players that have played this game, used to wear his hat and his glasses and his sunglasses just the same as his pupil. One of his greatest pupils of all time was one Coach Bobby Bowden. That should be pointed out.